So
So,
what do you want to talk about today?
oh my, a lot of things, a lot of things, a lot of things about mistakes, about the vaccine. But I think I want to start about mistakes. About how overcoming mistakes. That you should not repeat a second time. Maybe
Mm.
I cannot tell you right now like an example, but I think you know what happened to me, for example, when I do a mistake, and I don't know what's like the root of the mistake, what was the reason. Sometimes I do a second time, and maybe on the third time that I did the same mistake, then I realize that where was the real problem, and maybe you can like avoid doing other two or three mistakes, and just on the first one you can learn from it and
So
resolve.
what is a mistake? When you call a mistake, what is a mistake? Give me an example of what you're thinking as a mistake.
The mistake is always at the end, when it happened.
Mm.
Through the mistake, you didn't know it was a mistake because,
Mhm.
I mean, we are not perfect. It's like, I buy stock market, for example, for Apple, and I say, yeah, they will go up in the next few days, and then all of a sudden they go down, and then
Mm.
okay, but there could be the reason because they went down. At the end, it's always easier to talk, but a mistake.
Mm.
I think a mistake. It's also, well, the definition exactly of a mistake I could not tell you, but I think a mistake will help you out figuring other things at the same time that you didn't know before.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so important to define what mistake is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you an example of why I think it's one needs to go slowly in defining what a mistake is. So you take the stock market, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you make your analysis
Mm-hmm.
short term. So we're talking short term. I'm
Yeah.
not talking long term.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you make your short term analysis, and based on your short term analysis, there is a 70% chance that Apple will go up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because there is a 70% chance that Apple will go up, you go, you buy Apple, or you buy some options. It depends what you want to do. And then after 2 weeks, you lose money. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Was that a mistake?
Actually, yes.
Why would you say it was a mistake?
Because it didn't go up.
Okay. So, and that's where it becomes tricky.
Yeah.
Okay? Because if you have 70% chance that Apple will go up,
Mm-hmm.
you go through the process, you made the decision, and it went up, or it's okay. You say it's not a mistake. But if you do the process also, it has 70% chance and it didn't go up, even if you lose money, you did not make a mistake. Because 30% chance it wouldn't go up.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
understand?
Yes. So.
I'll tell you what a mistake would be.
Mm-hmm.
A mistake would be you make the analysis,
Mm-hmm.
you have 70% chance that Apple will go up, and you decide not to invest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you decide not to invest,
And then they go up.
no, and it goes down. Okay? And
Okay.
you say, I was right, it didn't go up. But that's a mistake. Why
Ah,
is it a mistake?
it didn't go up. It went down.
It went down.
Exactly.
So you were right when you didn't buy,
But you were not right when you said it will go up.
but you didn't follow your process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You didn't follow your process because you're playing luck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was a mistake. Not following your process is a mistake. You understand why it's not that easy, because you
Yeah,
cannot just
it's not easy. It's like I'm not understanding, the part like the pro.
let's say it another way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it another way. Let's say, because it's not that easy to define what a mistake is.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at result
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you made a mistake. Because when you're making decision, you do not have all the information.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have all the analysis in the world,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot know for sure how the future will be. You cannot know.
Nobody knows, man, at the end.
Nobody knows. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So the best you can actually do is how to minimize your errors, how to minimize the probability that I lose.
Mm-hmm.
You
Okay.
cannot say, I'll give you an example. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say you go to the casino,
Yes.
you have $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the casino and you say to the croupier, I'm betting everything on 11.
Mm-hmm.
You put all your money that you had, $100,000, on 11, and you win. Okay? You
Mm-hmm.
win. That was a mistake, even if you win.
Why, man? Why?
It is a mistake because you're playing a game
That
that
you know.
if you keep playing it, you will eventually lose
So
in a big way.
that's more with luck, actually, and not
There you
knowing.
go. And not knowing. And not knowing. Okay?
So
So
I
just
mean,
because
mm-hmm.
someone has a positive result
Mm-hmm.
or someone has a negative result doesn't mean they made a mistake or they made a good decision.
So what was about? Was about luck?
The
Or
thing is, what you're trying to do is how to reduce errors. I'll give you another example
yes,
because
that
it's
it's pretty. Yeah, it's quite intensive to understand.
it is, and we'll keep repeating until it's clear the point I'm making.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to invest in the stock market. Let's go again to the stock market,
Yes.
and you don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You call a friend, and the friend told you, "Look, I think Glencore is going up."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, mining company, commodities are going up. I think Glencore is going up. Okay, you go and buy Glencore. It doesn't matter if Glencore goes up or Glencore goes down.
But it was a mistake because you didn't analyze how to minimize the errors.
Exactly. You relied on something you do not understand, which is how this other friend made the decision.
Okay. Okay. Yes. 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 Yes.
So, why is that a mistake? It is a fundamental mistake because you will never learn.
Mm-hmm. And the
Even
next
if you win,
again,
eh,
and maybe then you will not be lucky anymore, and they will go down, for example. And then maybe you understand that for the next
but
time you need.
you will never understand, because as long as you're asking someone else, you do not learn from bad result. You're not learning.
Mm-hmm.
So asking someone what to do without doing your own analysis is a mistake.
So after asking someone, for example, in this example that we did with the stock market, you need
Mhm,
always
mhm.
then go back and analyze why he said like that and what should happen, and analyze the whole process, what can happen with this company and what cannot happen, for example.
Yeah. Now imagine you have a process of short term. We're just talking short term, and I'm making a bunch of assumptions. Okay. Short term. You
Mm-hmm.
have a short term way to understand with a high probability, let's say 70%, that a
Mhm.
stock is going up
Okay.
or a stock is going down.
Mhm.
Once you make your analysis, you may call someone and
Mhm.
say, what do you think?
Mhm.
And you're not telling the person if it's going up or down. You're asking, why do you think it's going up or down?
Mhm.
As a way to see if you made a mistake in your analysis.
Mhm.
If you didn't find what they're telling you helps you anyway, you stay with your decision, you buy or you sell.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. But what is a mistake? A mistake doesn't have to do only with the end result. We have to look decision making within a
Sure.
process. You
Mm.
understand? Decision making is a bigger process than just up or down. Decision making is how did you arrive
To 70% up and the
or
30%.
30% down.
Yes.
And if you have a strategy or a process that give you 70-30, that
Mhm.
means if you make 10 decisions, 7 will be right, 3 will be wrong.
Mhm.
But when you get the 3 wrong decisions, you didn't make a mistake. It's part of what you're doing.
So mistakes, they are not, you cannot like give a value to mistakes of the end result, but you need to give a mistake, go back and tell what didn't I do exactly good, that's the process, how
Big
start.
concept.
Okay.
I'll give you another example.
Yes.
Example.
Yeah.
Let's say you're 25 years old
Yes.
and you have a job, you're living at your parents' house, and you have a very small job,
Mm-hmm.
okay, low income. You just finished school
Mm-hmm.
and you have an idea that you think, if successful, you can make $100 million in the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's two people. One decide to do it. And after 5 years, through a lot of struggle, they didn't do anything. And one decide not to do it. After 5 years, because he didn't do it,
Mm-hmm.
nothing happened. So you look at those two persons, after 5 years, you might say, you know what? The one that stayed at his parent basement with the little job was right. And the one that went to 5 years of struggle and
Mm.
still get to the same point made a mistake. But in reality, no. The person for me that made the mistake
Was
is
this guy in the basement at the parents' home?
because the other guy, after 5 years, he learned so much that if you're
Exactly.
just measuring the end result
Mm-hmm.
and you miss the whole process, you didn't understand what is called, in this case, an opportunity cost. That means if you're 25 years, you need to be making those mistakes, called
Because called
mistakes.
mistake, because they are actually process learning that you bring in your back.
And that's the only way you get that learning.
Okay. So
So
if
the
mistake,
next 5 years,
yes. Mm-hmm.
the next move, this guy that went 5 years of trouble, he's at a very better chance than the first guy that didn't move.
Because through these 5 years he understood maybe the process that he did wrong.
He didn't do anything wrong because you can look at it that it's just a probability thing. The probability that you build a successful company is so low
Mm-hmm.
that if you're just doing it for the end result, you shouldn't start.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is one Jeff Bezos, there's 8 billion people on planet Earth. You understand? So the odds don't make sense. That's not how you look at those things. You look at those things like, if I have to live the next 2 years, the next 3 years, the next 5 years of my life,
Mm-hmm.
okay, Where do I want to spend that time? How do I want to spend that time? Doing what exactly? Because if you just base on the probability of result, there are decisions you will never make, especially in business, starting a company when you're 25 years old.
Because you miss the middle, like the sense, that's the process going through the end result. You know, like you said, if you start a company only with the thinking of the end result, you miss like the most important thing, the process to make and achieve the end result. Maybe
exactly, because if you look at the pure probability of it, you should never start a company,
because it's very, very low.
Very low. But the thing is, you ask yourself, if I have only 5 years to live, where do I want to spend those 5 years? Do I want to spend it trying to build a marketplace for nightlife? Or do I want to spend it in my basement, looking for jobs? I don't know. You understand? With a low income job that I'm secure, but when you're 30 years old, it doesn't make sense 30 years old, you start taking less risk. So what I'm trying to say is, to understand mistake, you need to go deeper than just the end result.
Okay? So the end result has nothing to do with a mistake. The process,
exactly.
The root, that's like understanding what did you do.
It's the process, okay? And then what's the next move? Because those things are longer term. It's like every move you make has two step in it. It is, how did I do in that step? And how much better does it prepare me for my next step? Two things you look at. Okay? So you cannot just say, oh, this guy who has a process where 70% of the time he's good, 30% of the time he's bad. He made one bet, he lost. You say he made a mistake. No, he didn't make a mistake, because if he has a process that has 70% chance and 30% chance of losing, 70 of winning, he will lose 3 times over 10. But if he keeps playing, he will start winning. So a mistake would be if he loses 3 times and he's so afraid he doesn't want to bet the 4th time. And that the 4th time is when the winning starts coming. Okay, so
that's wow. So it's completely different of what I thought what a mistake is. Completely different.
That's one angle. It's like, because that's what I'm saying. It is so complicated to define what a mistake is. It depends who you're talking to, but when, at least from people that look at life from a result point of view, you and only short term, like every game is just one step. It's not. Life is ongoing. You understand? Things unfold. So it's very complicated just to look at the end result of someone at a certain moment of time to define if they're winning or losing.
So then overcoming a mistake means go through, like, not just for luck. For example, like the example we did before, call a friend. What do you think about Apple? It's going up, it's going down. Yeah, it's going up. Okay, invest. That's like overcoming a mistake would be go back. He said it's going up. Let me see why it's going up. For example.
Okay. He says it's going up, but do I understand why? And could I come to the same conclusion? Or do I have a way to disagree? Because if you're just listening to what he's saying, there's no learning going through that process. So I will tell you that personally, there are 2 variables I always look at to understand when I don't know how to make a decision, or when I'm trying to evaluate my errors.
Mm-hmm.
It's survival and sustainability.
What's that exactly?
Okay. Let's go first with survival.
Yes.
Survival is very simple. Will you die or not from that decision if you're wrong?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's survival.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I have $100,000
Mm-hmm.
and I go to the casino and I bet $100,000 on 11.
Mm-hmm.
From a survival point of view, that was a mistake. Because even if I win,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if I would have lost, I'm out of the game.
So that would be a mistake from a survival point of view.
Even if I win,
Mm-hmm. Because you didn't know, because you don't know.
I didn't know. Now, if the game is tricked
Mm-hmm.
and I know 11 is going to be successful,
Mm-hmm.
now I bet everything.
Because you knew it. You make for example, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Well, something else, I spent energy somewhere else to come to a conclusion where I'm certain. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there are anything in life that are not completely certain. So because of that, whenever a decision you make
Mm-hmm.
can create a situation where you cannot play anymore, where you cannot participate anymore,
Mm-hmm.
it's a mistake. Even if you're successful, even if you get what you wanted. Okay, that's personal from survival point of view. Survival for me is the first thing because if you understand life is about learning,
Mm-hmm.
so every step you should learn something. Now, if you put yourself in a situation you cannot participate again, whatever you learn on the first step, you cannot apply it on the second step.
Mm-hmm.
So you lost everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now you have to think, okay, if I have to make multiple steps because I don't know, so
Mm-hmm.
I can never make a decision that if I'm wrong, I'm completely out. I die. No.
But
Okay.
so sometimes you need, I don't know, maybe, but sometimes you need to risk, I think, or
But
not.
what is risk? Risk is I have $100,000
Uh-huh.
and I bet how much?
70 maybe, and the 30,000 it's in a
Okay.
pocket.
If you bet $100,000, you're not taking risk.
You're stupid.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, 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 yes.
Taking risk means based on my understanding of
Mm-hmm.
how wrong I can be or not, how much do I bet? I'm making a decision to
Mm-hmm.
partner with someone. I'm taking risk. I'm making a decision to marry someone. I'm taking risk. I'm taking this job and not that other job. I'm taking risk. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But when you make a decision that if you were wrong, you're out of the game, because from a survival point of view, you can die from that decision. That means you lose all your money, you cannot participate anymore, or whatever. That's a mistake, even if you were right. Even if you made money on that decision, that was a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So that's survival.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's survival.
That's the first
That's the
question to ask yourself when you take
yes.
a decision. Okay. Okay.
The second one I ask myself is about sustainability. What is sustainability? Sustainability is how much do I control
Mm-hmm.
of the process to keep being successful. I'll give you an example.
Yes, please.
I need to buy Apple. I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I call my friend Davide, and Davide tells me, buy Apple. I go and buy Apple, made a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if I need to sell or if I need to keep the money in Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I call Davide, but Davide is skiing. He's not answering my phone call. I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have a sustainability problem. Why? Because I do not control enough of that variable. on the decision making.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot sustain to continue to be successful because you are responsible for my success, and I don't control anything about if you will answer my phone or not.
So how can you measure when you're to be sustained? So how would you measure it?
Sustainability means the way I'm behaving,
Mm-hmm.
how much can I continue operate like that
Mm-hmm.
over time without putting at risk continuity. How much can I continue this game? How much can I continue moving forward? How much can I sustain success? For example, you look at the world today, the way we produce, we have a sustainability problem. It's not a climate change problem. Climate change is just one aspect of sustainability.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll give you another example. Stock
Yes.
market is going up.
Mm-hmm.
Main reason stock market is going up is because government and central bank are working together to print money
Mm-hmm.
and generate fiscal deficit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good solution? It is the only solution we have. Now, is it sustainable? How long can you keep doing it?
That's exactly. Maybe for the short term you can sustain. For the long term,
Cannot.
cannot.
So what is your job?
Mm-hmm.
Job is to constantly working on sustainability. That means maybe you have to do this right now, but you have to know that for next year,
The end date.
you need to be thinking how I keep.
Mm-hmm.
Understand?
Okay. Yes. No.
So
Mm-hmm.
sustainability doesn't have to do with climate change. It's like the question we're asking
Mm-hmm.
about sustainability is the way we produce today, the way we eat today.
Mm-hmm.
If we keep doing that, how long can the human race live successfully on planet Earth?
With having food and having everything. Exactly.
Okay, that's the question you need to ask.
Okay. So for example, in my case, if I'm doing a party in Milan,
Yes, yes.
it's going well all the time, every weekend I bring in the club like 600 person. How long can I still bring this 600 person? That's maybe a question.
About sustainability.
Sustainability, yes.
So you need to say, how long can I keep bringing 600 and how can I keep growing
Exactly.
without breaking my company? How long can I sustain growth? You understand? How long can I sustain life on Earth in a way that everybody gets at least what they need? Because if everybody doesn't get what they need, it's unsustainable because either the climate will attack you or society will break up because so many people are being marginalized. It's not sustainable. Okay?
Okay, so
It's always two things, at least from what I understood to this point about how to look at mistakes. Because just not getting what you want on the first step is not a mistake.
Because maybe you didn't learn a lot.
Because you learn a lot. And by learning what you do, you went through a process that over time you increase your probability of survival by learning more.
It's like when we talked about pain the last week,
Yes.
to make a change, you need to go deep in the pain. So what happened? That's exactly like the mistake, so
yes,
you didn't like the end result. So to find out why you received this end result, you need to go deep and go back and analyze the whole process that you did.
Yes. Okay. But you need to answer. You need to answer. I went through a process. I didn't get the result I wanted, but did I increase the probability that I'll do better next time? That's important. It's like Do I know now how to reduce the risk of losing,
And that's
which is
exactly
survival?
the problem that I asked you since the beginning, you know, with like having the same, not now I'm not calling mistakes anymore, but end result, you know,
Yes.
all the time, because sometimes I have struggle, I have problems, maybe it's not what we're talking about, but going through and asking question, maybe I'm asking the wrong question, you know, why I received all the time the same end result,
Exactly.
you know. So that's
I'll tell you, mistake, when you understand this was a mistake, that's a good news.
Mhm,
Because how do you know it's a mistake? Because you know something how to do it better.
exactly. But you know it
I'll
all
tell you,
that's
sorry.
the but you know it always when it happened, you know. So only
No,
that. Hmm.
so only then. Okay, so let me say it that way. If I don't know anything
Yes.
about a subject, I absolutely have no clue about a subject.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Let's say I want to play basketball.
Yes.
I have absolutely no clue about basketball.
Hmm.
I take the ball and I shoot and I missed. I did not make a mistake. I am learning.
Because you didn't know how to show the ball because it was the first time for you.
There you go.
Mm.
Now, I keep shooting. And at some point, I start understanding how,
To shoot.
when I shoot, I make it right.
Hmm.
Okay?
Hmm.
Now, next time I shoot,
Hmm.
if I missed, I can know if it was a mistake because I know how to do it correctly.
Correct. Ah, okay. So it's like when you say, when you understand that you made a mistake, it's like that you already know the other alternative.
There you go.
Okay.
So now, how do you get to that point if you never play?
Through process, learn through shooting a lot of times,
There you
understand
go.
like the match point when.
So even if I miss the first 100 points, I am not making a mistake by missing them
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because there's no other way. No other way. Even if I have a teacher teaching me the right moves,
Mm-hmm.
I still need to go through the process until I do it once well. Then I can say, you know what, this was a mistake because now I know.
Mm-hmm. And then when you did it wrong,
You
when
know,
you
before it wasn't a mistake.
see,
After it is a mistake
be-
because now I know.
you know how you did it well, how you put the ball.
Exactly. And I have to ask myself, why this time I did make a mistake, and how can I go through a process to avoid that mistake that I understand now it's a mistake, and I
Mm-hmm.
add it to my process. So again, what I'm trying to say
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm actually saying is you cannot just look at the end result to decide if it's a mistake or not. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You cannot.
Wow. Okay. I never thought about this way. Never.
Mm.
I thought, you know, a mistake, it's the the end result, to be honest. You know,
Yeah.
why it didn't work. And okay.
But the thing is, that way, you understand why it's so hard to actually try to do something. Because if you do not see things that way, you will never take any decision. You will never take any chance. You'll
Mm-hmm.
always be following.
So, but at the same time, what I understood also, it's that maybe you need to do a mistake in the process to understand also. You know what I mean? For example, like the example you did with the basketball, you know, it was also a process taking the ball and shooting, you know, but you
But
need,
is it a mistake?
it's not a mistake, but like it's learning instead
It's
of mistake.
learning. It's not a mistake.
It's learning.
I cannot call it mistake.
So do you think, so you call mistake when you know that this,
Ah,
there you go.
when you know what to do
and
and
you
for
do it,
some reason you didn't do it.
then it's
Now we're talking about mistake.
okay. So mistake, now to be very clearly, it's when you know that it's a mistake, but you do it anyway.
Yes. Now, why do you do it anyway?
That's
And that's where the conversation really starts. But at the beginning, we really needed to define what mistake is. Because just not getting the end result doesn't mean you made a mistake.
so why.
And maybe you get the end result,
Mm-hmm.
but you still made a mistake because you didn't do what you should have done. Even if you get the end result.
So why people do then the same mistake that
Uh,
and they know that it's a mistake?
because we have a brain of a mammal.
I'm the first.
We fall into traps, cognitive traps. That's part of what discipline is supposed to help you or friends or process or
Mm-hmm. But maybe you love these traps. You know what I mean?
what do you mean? Maybe you what?
Yeah, because when you know that's a mistake and you still, doing that, you said we fall into traps. You said, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Maybe we love falling into traps.
Well, the reason you fall into a trap is because you love it. You understand?
Yeah.
The
But
reason you fall into traps is because it's hard
mm-hmm.
to resist the temptation of falling into them. There are many traps.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know?
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's like I think one needs to take a different approach to what a mistake is from a decision making point of view. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Just not getting what you want doesn't mean you made a mistake. And getting what you want doesn't mean you didn't
Well,
make a mistake. Exactly. Okay?
mm-hmm.
Because it's about survival and sustainability. Whenever, from my point of view, any of those two
Mm-hmm.
are at danger, even if you're winning, you're making mistakes. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I make mistakes all the time. All the time. You understand? You look back and you say, survival was at risk, sustainability is at risk. How do you deal with it? Now you
Uh-huh.
get to a different level of learning, which is not the primary learning, which is now you get to something deeper of, okay, how do I push for it? And as you can imagine, for me, I'm never talking about the end result. That doesn't mean the end result is not important. It's important in a different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I hate losing. I mean, for me, it's no fun losing. It's probably the worst thing. The
Yeah.
pain is so big whenever I lose. Okay, but
Yes.
just because I hate losing doesn't mean I will not go to a learning process. I will accept it part of the learning. It hurts me, but
Mm.
if in the long run I want to get to a good place, I know that's the price to pay.
So why are you doing then the same those mistakes, even if one of those two things are at risk? You said.
Because of traps, because somehow you convince yourself
Yeah.
that they were not at risk.
Exactly.
Because and when you're smart, that's a curse, because a smart person can stay in a bad position very long because they can justify why they're there, even if they're wrong, but they can find very logical explanation. No, why this time is different. You've heard of that? No, this time is different. Every time someone tells you this time is different, you're most likely about to start to see something really bad happen.
Okay.
You know, this time I can do it
I
that
can.
way. It's like,
And then this.
yeah,
And it's.
don't worry, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing actually.
So, but that's like than the temptation, more of convincing
That's
you.
what it is.
So why is it
It's
so powerful?
brain traps. You understand?
So why is it so powerful? I mean, because it's really powerful,
What's
actually.
powerful? The
Temptation.
temptation?
Yes.
I mean, because you have a mammal brain. You have fear, you have greed. There's an incredible book in behavioral finance that is called Thinking Fast and Slow. Those guys, they won a Nobel Prize for that, to explain how your brain consumes different level of energy
Mm-hmm.
depending what decision you're about to make. Now, because you have a mammal brain, it doesn't want to spend too much energy. So you start answering question fast because you don't want to spend too much energy, because maybe if you spend too much energy and then a beast will attack you, you won't have energy to run. So your brain is constantly trying to protect your level of energy, even if you're sitting in a city and there's no one attacking you, but it's still behaving that you need to be running some point. So do not consume a lot of energy. So because you're consuming very low level of energy, you make a bunch of decisions mechanically
Mm-hmm.
at
Mm-hmm.
the animalistic level. And then you use your smart brain to justify why you made that decision so it can look smart. But your smart wasn't part of the way you made the decision. You just follow what was the easiest heuristic that you've learned, the easiest little trick that you learned to make that decision. Now, it's okay if I use that to go and choose which type of matcha to eat.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not okay if I use the same little tricks to decide which stock I buy, which is a very different decision with different consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I choose the wrong matcha, all I can lose is maybe $3. I throw it away, I buy another one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if you invest $100,000 in a stock and then it goes to zero, which I never recommend someone to do, of course, to invest everything in one number, you make it with the same ease that you choose which matcha to buy.
Is there like a possibility to avoid traps?
Well, the thing is, avoiding trap is a lifelong objective.
So you need like to fall into traps to learn. Maybe that's like a part
No,
of.
what I'm saying is, life is about making decisions.
Yes.
So if there is one thing all human beings need to work on, is how to make decisions. So learning how to avoid trap is the only thing everyone should be working on every day.
Well, okay. It's incredible.
You understand? Because if you start understanding how to make better decisions, what will happen to your life?
Will become better and better.
Exactly. And the people around you and everything. And again, I'm not talking about end result.
But the
The
process, like
process,
the path that you.
life. Exactly. Because when you look at end result, everybody, I think I made those mistakes as well.
The end result is when you die at the end. That's like the ending.
There you go. So you never know what the end result is.
Exactly.
It always get you by surprise. You
But
understand? Because one day you die. But the thing is, if you're looking at Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, to define what the end result should look like, that's very sad.
yes, my.
That's very sad.
So that's a big part. Avoiding traps. That's
That's
bad.
the only thing.
But it's very, 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 very difficult.
In the Homer, in
Uh-huh.
the Odyssey, Ulysses,
See, yes.
there is that part where he went to that island where the sirens, where the mermaids are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Understand? What did he do? Because he wanted to hear the mermaids. But usually, when you hear the mermaids, you don't want to leave the island. You stay with them because their voice is so beautiful that
Exactly.
if you listen to the voice of the mermaid, you stay and die in the island. But Ulysses wanted to listen to it. So what did he do? They strap him
Uh-huh.
you know, in the boat. So he was able to go through, listen to the mermaid. Even if he wanted to go to the island, he couldn't. So he got the both. He got the best of both worlds. He was able to continue his journey.
Uh-huh.
He was able to sustain his journey without falling in the trap of not surviving and dying in the island. Because what he did, he strapped himself to his process.
Wow.
Okay. So it's doable. You can go through life and see all the traps, and at some point, you keep learning, but it's a never ending.
That's another question that comes to my mind. Is that really a trap or not? Because
What?
at the end, what I define now trap, also maybe it's wrong, it's also like a possibility, you know? For example, I make you a very, very, very stupid example.
I
You know,
love those.
I'm a married woman, you know?
Yes.
You fall in love with a married woman, you know? You
Yes.
know at the beginning that she's married, and
Yes.
actually you have no chance, you know?
Yes.
But maybe through the time you understand something that
Yes.
maybe she likes you also, but you don't know if she will then, quit with her husband and make
Yes.
this decision. And so then
Yes.
it's like the trap for you that you love her, but that's also a possibility because you don't know if it's a trap that,
You don't know. You don't know.
that of course the 90% of the chances say she will never leave her man because of course she's married and you
You
can,
don't know.
but you don't know. And that's maybe why also then you want to try. That's a temptation.
Of course. I don't know. I think that there is many angle to look at the decision like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I wouldn't just say, oh, it's a mistake or it's a
Mm-hmm.
trap, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I would call a trap for if you're looking to have a relationship and get married next year,
Mm-hmm.
and then instead of going out with a woman that is available, you go out with a married woman. Now, under those conditions, I would say, you know what? Maybe it was a mistake going to the married woman because, from a probability point of view, it's more likely that if you want to marry next year, the woman that is available, doesn't need a whole 1 year, 2 year to go to the whole process of divorce.
Exactly.
Okay. So
Exactly.
that's what I mean. To define that, you need to define a bigger context. Okay. Now, if someone is in love, they say, you know what? I'm in love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking to get married, but I want to give this thing a chance. And the person say, I want to separate from my husband and they're not living together. I don't know. Now it's become a moral judgment. Each person you talk to will have an opinion. But
Mm-hmm.
from the point of view of the conversation we're having, give a thing a try. I wouldn't call that a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But like I said, but if your objective is I want to get married next year, I mean, and a divorce will take 18 months to 2 years,
Yes.
choosing a woman that is going through a divorce or needs to be divorced to be with you,
It's not the right
I
choice.
would say exactly. You know what
Mm.
I mean?
Yes.
Uh, but
But
it's from
yes, that was the question. It's like, maybe trap, sometimes you don't recognize there are traps. Maybe
well, the thing is, if you recognize it, it's not a trap anymore.
because you know it. Exactly.
The trap is when you fall and then you realize what you did. You say, "Oh,
Man, that was a mistake.
this is what I
That was a
that
mistake.
was a mistake," because you knew, and then but when it came to you, you know, it came at night and you didn't recognize the trap because if it came at day with something writing here, "I am a trap," you would avoid it.
Exactly.
Just come.
Exactly. Oh my God. Okay. Wow.
When you're a little sleepy, you know, you don't see a little light and the trap knocks on the door and say, "Oh, how you doing? I have something beautiful for you," and then you fall.
That's it. Yeah, man. But it's very, it's. I
But
understood.
let's start. So, what is mistake then?
Well, you know, what I understood now, that is like no mistakes. I mean, that there is only a mistake when you know 100% that is a mistake. But to know that you didn't do this before, you know what I mean? So to know a mistake, you know that you did one time, but at the beginning, when you did the first time, you didn't know it. So there's like, for the first time, there is never a mistake, you know?
Never a mistake.
When
First
you,
step is never a mistake.
it's not a mistake. So that's, I think, what I understood now, it's mistake only when you know, when you're going again, for example, through the married woman, and you know the time before didn't work because you was
And
married,
you go.
and you do again, you know, Davide, for example, you're stupid. You did this mistake, for example, 2 years ago.
But that doesn't make you stupid. That just makes you human. Now, if you want to be superhuman, you work on it.
I need to work on it.
Or man, life is, but those things are tough, man. You understand? Because we may laugh about it. I laugh about them, but there's a lot of pain to making decision. Even I will share something with you. Even
Yeah.
when I make a decision and I made it a right decision
Mm-hmm.
and I got the result I wanted, but the pain of going through the process is so, it's always painful to go through the real process of where am I lying to myself? What should I do now?
It's more painful for you going through the process or when you receive the result?
Well, the thing is, like I'm saying, is I think I'm always in the process.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You understand? It's like I never count
But what,
whatever.
sorry, but when you said before, even when I receive what I wanted, you know, so you like, you put yourself like an objective, right? So when you don't receive this objective, it's more painful through going through the process, or when you don't receive, or when you don't achieve your goal.
So the thing is, I see what you mean. So, like I said, losing hurts a lot,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But avoiding losing hurts a lot as well.
Not trying.
No, no, avoiding losing, which is
Mm-hmm.
doing things in a way that you really put the work for
Mm.
it to come out well, also hurts.
Yes.
So when you actually get the result,
Mm-hmm.
it matches the pain you went through to get the result. You understand?
Still the same balance like before.
That's what I think. Thank you. You helped me understand it.
Yes.
It's the way I feel is the amount of pain is constant. You either get it through the process, you get it through the bad result.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But somewhere or the other,
Exactly.
you
So it's like
really
when you go through the process and it's very, very painful, and then, but you at the same time, you achieved your goal. It's
yes,
like still at the balance.
balance.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
like matching. It's like, okay, I had had so much pain.
yeah.
Now I'm look, it's much better, but still the same.
Still balance.
Thing is, my friend, it's when you go through the process and it's very painful, and the end result, objective, it's not what you want.
Isn't there?
Then,
Then it's still pain because you also say, that's what I'm trying to say. You also say, okay, that was the learning. When is the next move?
mhm.
Because what happens to me is I'm always about the next move.
Yeah,
You understand?
said that a lot of times. So, c- why is it so important about the next move? I mean, for you.
Because I don't know if I can explain it or not, but what happened is whatever you want, whatever decision you made it based on what you knew.
Mm-hmm.
When you're going through a process,
Mm-hmm.
and then you make a next decision, you change perspective and you realize, oh, there is this also. Oh, maybe I should have go there. And you're again in the same process of not knowing.
So you never know at the end. So
Well,
it's like
that's
I know it's like a quote of Marcus Aurelius, I think, or I don't know exactly. So it's like it's very hard to tell a man that he's not knowing anything, but he thinks at the same time that he knows.
yeah,
But
man.
but it's like you're always learning. It's always
If you're moving, it's like if you're on a journey, how can you know the next village?
when you go when you
Only when you get there.
exactly.
And when you get there, you learn so many new things about this village. And then you say, oh, and those people tell you there's another village there. You have no clue how to get there again. So it never stops.
Wow.
Now, in that process, if you know it, it's like a journey. So you process pain differently, you process mistakes differently, and you value those two things, survival and sustainability.
So
Survival
are the very two key things that
the two key things. Whenever you're making a decision that put at risk your survival and put at risk the sustainability of success, you're in trouble. That's why we're in trouble today.
So it's like all the two things that you should not be like, you should sustain and you can survive.
You should stay alive.
Exactly. So if one of those two things, maybe you can sustain, I mean, you can survive, but you cannot sustain, then you should not do this, right?
Well, the thing is, when you really look at them, they're just one. You know? Because if you can sustain it, that means you're surviving. And if you're surviving, that means you're sustaining it. But you can separate them when you're making your calculation to see how much goes there and how much goes here. Okay? But in the end, you know, if you look at around the world today, we have a sustainability problem. That's why also we have a survivorship problem. You understand? And again, it's not climate change. Climate change is just one aspect of sustainability. Sustainability is, can the human race continue to sustain life? Okay, that's the big issue. That's life is about sustainability and survivorship. And you can say, no, I don't care. I'm 80 years old. I'm gonna die. I don't care. Yeah, okay. So if that's the way you think, you shouldn't be running any decision, because there are people that are 10 years old and they're counting on you thinking for 100 years for them. Because it's about the sustainability of the whole race, not about your own sustainability. That means if you cannot think beyond generation, you shouldn't be in leadership position.
That's why the politicians do not think about, or maybe they don't want to think about. That's another.
It's difficult, because when you are in a position, you have competitors that want your position. So you have to really balance how you stay in power, how you win elections, how you're running a company. You need to make profit next quarter. Yeah, but maybe the way you're making profit next quarter is taking away 100 years of life on Earth. But who cares? I'm 60 years old. I'm going to die in 40 years old, in 40 years more. Okay? So all those things, those are the traps from a collective point of view that play against survival and sustainability. It's not that you don't know them. It's just that the incentives are not there acting the best way, even if you know how to do it. And that's why it's always complicated, that conversation, because some people think that people don't know what to do. No, they actually know what to do, but they cannot do it because there is an incentive to do something else. So if you do not change the incentive, maybe very smart people will continue doing it, especially because they're smart, because that's the right decision for them. Now, collectively, maybe that's a problem. So it's the whole concept of mistake, you know what I mean? Because when you understand it, just like you said, actually, if you want to learn very fast, you should encourage people to learn by making what you call mistake, but in reality, it's not a mistake, because the faster you learn, there you go. Because it's a mistake once you know. Until you don't, when you don't know, it's not a mistake. You're learning.
Wow.
I think we did some.
Wow, it was a 300.
Some unwinding on the concept, no?
Yes, that's wow. It was great. It's like I have now personally, and I think I'm not the only one, but I have now a completely different concept of what a mistake is, actually. Or better to say, what's the definition of a mistake?
Yes. Yes. The way I see it, let's say that together we went through the process of at least trying
Understand.
to understand it. You know what I mean? It's like when we go to those back and forth with a friend
It's like,
that you
and we split it in so,
exactly,
you
you
know,
know,
exactly, yes. That's great.
usually when you unpack a concept by unpacking it, you end up, being at a different place.
Was
Yeah.
was intense. Was great.
Yeah, it was.
Man, it's 1 hour conversation, but it's like 1 hour ago I was a different person. So, and that's what I like, and that's I think what's great, because I remember that you said
Yeah.
exactly. I remember when you said, David, meditation. It's not being alone, closing your eyes. That's another art. Of course, it's great. Meditation, it's like understanding the other perspective of the person, so you understand, and that's exactly what we are doing right now.
What we're doing right now is what is actually meditation, which is the capacity to look through your thinking process in an objective way. And by realizing where you can improve, you automatically change perspective.
Exactly, and that's what meditation. I love that. I love exactly the moment of meditation when I'm talking to you. It's exactly the moment when you're doing an example or you're explaining something and I don't understand because my mind it's closed
Yes.
and
Yes.
my mind knows exactly what I knew before when I asked
Yes.
what a mistake is. And all of a sudden, I receive another perspective, another energy that I didn't know, and it's like my brain is like ding 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 ding, what's going on, what happened, and that's what I love
That's meditation.
because that's learning.
Yes, because you're able to let go of
Exactly.
your point of anchor and
Exactly.
actually force the brain to look at a different. That doesn't mean the different one is true.
No, well, actually, that's another. I love that's another conversation. What is true? What is false?
Exactly.
Even in school, of course, when you write an exam, maybe for you in exam it's this answer, but you cannot write your answer because the school wants that you write this answer. But that's
In
all
the answer from the book.
exactly. That's always about perspective. I think
Exactly.
you don't have any true or false at all. You have the meaning of the people of what they think. For you can be true or
Yes.
false, but that's another conversation. That's
Another conversation, my
we
friend.
have
So
some.
let's stop this here.
Yeah. Thank you very much, brother.